Hey, this is Steve Kaiser, Cloud Solution Architect at Microsoft. I'm here today to give you a little bite-sized overview of the HealthBot admin portal to help you get started. So first of all, if I take a look at my icon up on the top right, go to My Healthcare Bots, this opens up admin.healthbot.microsoft.com, which will give me a list of all of the bots that I am an administrator of. This is also the place that I can go and look at my message count and optionally go in, edit each bot to upgrade to a higher tier if necessary to support the traffic that I'm expecting. You'll notice as well that if you have deleted one of your health bots, you still have access for several months where you can go in and export that configuration to import into another bot. So let's take a look at some of the language models. We support 3 different types of language models: System, Regular Expression, and Lewis. The system models are basic health-related language models that can do simple things like symptom checking and routing that to one of your scenarios. Regular expressions are pretty simple string matching rules that will allow someone to say type in hi or hello. We can recognize that and we'll send them to the correct place. And then Lewis models are the most powerful and the most customizable. So in order to use a Lewis model, you would provision a Lewis cognitive service in Azure. And once you've done that and trained it, you can take the application ID and a subscription key and plug them in here. And those that model will be available from your scenarios. And then under localization, briefly, because we have another video that goes into much more detail about this, you have the ability to turn on localization and easily translate some of the strings from English to the other languages that we support. If we look under configuration and medical, what we find here are some of the common overall settings that would apply to all of your scenarios. So this is basically the ability to do some symptom checking, medical concepts, and other things that are commonly used in the healthcare bot. Looking at compliance, one of the main things that you'll want to look into here is the conversation timeout. So this determines the amount of time that someone can leave the chatbot idle before we will time out and let them know that they need to refresh the browser. When we go into conversation, I wanted to introduce the concept of interrupting scenarios. So feedback is one of those scenarios where if someone types feedback into the chat window, we're going to pause the current scenario that we're doing. We're going to take them to another question where they can provide their feedback. And then when that's done, we will return them back to where they were left off in the previous conversation. So looking at integration under data connections, we have the ability to integrate with really any third-party REST API. This could be a public API, private API. In this example here, I've got a US Census API. Really all I need to do to use that is to put in the base URL. Many public APIs will also have an API key that you need to provide, and that is something that you put into the header parameters here. Taking a look at channels, we support several channels out of the box. We also have the ability to add additional channels by simply filing a support request, and we really can support all of the channels that the Azure Bot Framework supports, which is at least a dozen. And then taking a look at secrets, these are the settings that you'll need to use to integrate your bot with the web app, which holds your web chat client. And then we do recommend using App Insights. So App Insights is a very flexible logging mechanism where you can send all of the data about your scenarios into that and do queries on it. Keep in mind that if you do include the conversation text, that you may be sending PHI to that. And finally, if we look under resources and go to files, this is where we can store some images that we might be able to, that we might want to use in our scenarios. So for example, icons or anything else that may be useful in a conversation. And then in environment variables, we store values here, and then we can use JavaScript in our scenarios to pull those values. So for example, in the case of Twilio, want to send an SMS, we have these values set right here and able to use in the scenario. That's all for today. Thanks for watching and good luck.